There's a thumbprint he left when he pushed around in the clip.
Stop calling magazines clips. Hey, what's up, you fucking nerds? Welcome to the Avengenerd. So I love movies. As a matter of fact, I used to want to be a filmmaker because I was always so intrigued with how movies are made. So much so that when I was in college, I used to make short films, some of which are in the intro of my channel if you've ever wondered where that random footage comes from. But creating short films was just one way I could share my ideas and express the inner nerd in me. Also, movies are the main reason why I collect so many things like comic books, figurines, and even firearms. But one of my biggest issues with firearms in movies is that Hollywood often gets things wrong, and they're always the biggest advocates for gun control in the political sphere. And it's often clear that some of these filmmakers have little to no understanding how real firearms function. Fuck around and get Baldwined. As a firearms enthusiast, I can't help but to notice these things and just simply get annoyed. I recently watched The Forever Purge, and if you haven't seen this movie, I'll save you some time. It's total dog shit. And on top of being a shit movie, it's just full of SJW propaganda. During one of these scenes, the protagonists are attempting to reach the Mexican border because apparently Mexico is like the safe haven now for people who want to get away from the purge. And at some point they engage in a firefight and one of the guys shooting his firearms runs out of ammo.
Take cover! Down!
Now I've seen this mistake in a lot of other movies, but this is the most recent one that I've seen and that I could remember. But where the fuck do the extra clicks come from? There's at least 4 to 5 extra clicks before he realizes it's empty. It's like, hey, it's still clicking, but there's no bullets coming out. I think it's empty. You could almost hear the director shouting out directions. Okay, you're shooting, click, 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 click. No bullets are coming out. You look at the firearm, it's empty. Frustrated grin. And cut. Apparently Hollywood thinks firearms run on fucking AA's or something.
Introducing the next generation of raw power, the Energizer Max. Just pop it in any AR-14 and have guaranteed fully semi-auto forever.
I could forgive a lot, but that's just one that really stands out, especially when you consider contemporary filmmaking culture. A lot of these creatives work hard to try to bring realism to the big screen. So much so that even actors put themselves through rigorous training to embody the characters they play. Which brings me to John Wick. Now don't get me wrong, I love me some John Wick, by far some of the best action sequences with or without firearms. And props to Keanu Reeves, he actually took the time to learn how to handle a firearm. I'm sure we've all seen that video of him at the range hitting targets like the super assassin he plays on screen. But no matter how real Hollywood tries to be, they always seem to sacrifice realism for aesthetic. Because if you notice in this clip, what is Keanu Reeves wearing? Ear protection. Why? Because guns are loud as shit. Even suppressed firearms can still be pretty loud, so that scene where Common and Keanu Reeves are shooting each other at the train station, total horseshit. Even with the quietest suppressor, a person next to you is still gonna hear that thing. And it's this very portrayal of suppressors in cinema that misleads people into thinking suppressors are made for assassins. They're meant to protect your hearing, so they're not gonna completely eliminate sound. And let's say hypothetically that a suppressor could eliminate all the sound of a round popping off, that slide is still gonna make quite a bit of noise. Just because you're holding it low and close to your body trying to be discreet doesn't mean people aren't gonna notice. They're gonna be like, yo, what the fuck are you doing down there? Just once, I would like to see the person in the movie wielding a firearm throw on some ear probe before they start shooting. Speaking of this, in one of my favorite movies, Guns Akimbo, they actually touch on this issue, and in the scene, Daniel Radcliffe accidentally discharges one of the firearms that's been surgically attached to his hand.
Fun factoid, gunshots are way louder than in the movies. In real life, Rambo would not be killing guerrilla fighters. He would be learning sign language.
I do appreciate that they point this out, but as the movie progresses, they completely ignore it. Like if your ears adapt to sound or something, it's not how it works. They're still loud as shit. You're gonna lose your hearing. And as ridiculous and entertaining as this movie was, I didn't expect a whole lot of realism from it. But if they're gonna write that into the script and point it out, don't just ignore it and drop it. I mean, do something funny with it. He's already dressed ridiculous, maybe throw on some fuzzy earmuffs or something. I'm taking it back a little with this one, Charlie's Angels. And I do understand that this movie is a little bit dated way back when physics was almost non-existent in Hollywood, which is fine. But Demi Moore with the gold Desert Eagles, to be honest, that's probably the most unrealistic part of this movie. God, I hate seeing Desert Eagles in movies. I mean, I like them. They're cool, I guess, but you might as well be carrying a fucking brick. I mean, because they're heavy as shit. They really are. And they're low capacity, and they're just not the most practical firearm, in my opinion. Especially for a 110-pound soaking wet petite female wielding two and handling them like they're 22s? No, just no. There's even a wide shot of her with the Desert Eagle still holstered, and it looks like she's wearing a jetpack. And yes, this movie is old, but I just recently saw one of these pop up in Reacher. If you haven't seen Reacher, it's starring Alan Ritchson, who plays Jack Reacher, and in real life he's 6'2", so that makes him an inch taller than I am. But unlike the character in the show, I wear fairly baggy clothes sometimes, and a Desert Eagle would print fairly noticeably on me. Not in the show though. In the show he just tucks it in his back waistband and it's hidden in the abyss of Thad Castle's asshole. The next thing is not really an issue with firearms themselves, it's how people use them in movies. And I'm talking of course of pretty much any slasher movie. Anytime you have the protagonist shoot and down the slasher, they never finish him off. And you're just sitting there thinking, unload the fucking mag. What are you, some kind of tree hugging pussy? And yes, I know that probably wouldn't allow the plot to advance, but I don't know, at least show an attempt. Like maybe he tries it and the gun's out of ammo. It's simple. And is everyone in Hollywood a fucking marksman? You know what I'm talking about. The fucking inexperienced shooters always put their shot right on the money. And I say inexperienced out of assumption because 9 times out of 10, they never have their own firearm in their house. It's always off of like a dead cop or something. But what do I know? You wouldn't catch me unarmed in a fucking slasher movie, that's why. When you consider that they're gonna have lack of trigger control and other shooting fundamentals, and they're probably pretty shaken up, with a pistol they're probably gonna miss. Trust me, take any novice shooter to the range and watch them miss at 10 yards in a controlled environment. Lastly, I love low budget movies, not because a lot of them are good, but because they're made so bad that you just can't help but to enjoy them. If you've never seen Mega Piranha, do yourself a favor and go watch that shit because it's fucking hilarious. But anyway, there's a scene at some point near the end of the movie where this special ops guy is introducing like this brand new firearm that they've developed to kill these giant fish. And that wasn't a problem, but there was just something funny I noticed, and it revealed how low budget this movie was. If you had any kind of childhood, pause that scene and look at that firearm closely. I know what a fucking Nerf gun looks like. I had that same one. It was a fucking Nerf gun, spray painted black. And it's also funny because if you look at all the other special ops guys, they don't even have that firearm. Like they didn't even have the budget to get that same Nerf gun multiple times and spray paint them all black. And the funniest part is later when they jump into the water, you can see some of the orange from the paint coming off. Oh shit. I thought it was pretty funny. Well, that's gonna be it for me today, but there are so many other movies out there with firearm fails that I want to cover, so I'll probably be making another one of these videos in the future. But in the meantime, feel free to tell me which mistakes annoy you the most in the comments below. Lastly, if you like my content, please feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel. Thank you for all the support, and I'll see you next time we assemble. Peace.